others followed suit. There were a number of African countries that united and then separated. More recently in Eastern Europe, there has been a number of countries that we are fully aware of. So the million-dollar question is, who will come on board? And who comes on board, we will say, thank you very much. And we have been talking to countries, and we will hope that EU has been really supportive with regards to the promotion of the democratization process, and we thank both the Commission and the Member States and the donor countries. There has been also some indirect assistance through international organizations, whether UN agencies, that also somehow gets into the system. That question, I think, since you are here, maybe you could ask the member states or your government to see ways in which Somaliland can be assisted, either politically or otherwise.
Damien McElroy from the Daily Telegraph. We've talked a bit about piracy today, and I was just wondering if you could specifically tell us what contribution you are making, if you have any cooperation with the big powers, the military. For example, there's been some stuff saying that the French used Somaliland for an operation a few weeks ago. Could you tell us what's specifically happening and what you hope the pattern of your cooperation will be going forward?
Well, first of all, we do not condone piracy. Somaliland basically has been secure when it comes to its boundaries. There hasn't been any incident whatsoever with regards to the issue, the coastal area of Somaliland. We are very much concerned as to the problem of piracy. We do not have the capacity to watch the waters. We have a very limited capability with regards to our coastline. We do not have a navy. We are a very poor country. Only we could support on a regional scale, and we are ready as a government to for consultations, for ways in which this whole issue be dealt with. There are countries in the region. We are offering that Somaliland is absolutely ready to discuss the issues. In the past, we have had discussions in Yemen on the issue of human trafficking. That was absolutely completely a different line. But it seems like all of this could be so interwoven and intertwined, given the nature of the volatility of the area and the situation. We are willing to discuss ways in which the whole area could be secure. Somaliland is ready to make sure that it is coastline is safeguarded, and we have done that. We have been very vigilant. In fact, for your easy reference, there were some attempt about a few weeks ago that those who were doing that business in Puntland or in our neighbor in that area were trying to establish a cell and allure others near Berbera. We have been following them, and we caught them red-handed before they even attempt anything. So this is a very secure area, and in fact, we sentenced them through the legal system minimum 15 years. So that is to deter others to contemplate for funny ideas in the coast of Somaliland. So yes, we are a willing partner on a bilateral cases or on a multilateral cases to see ways in which, and that's why we are recommending a task force ought to be formulated to deal with the issue comprehensively. This is not an isolated case. This is a problem that can snowball and can go as well to else. You're talking about lots of money, involvement of a lot of money. How many flag carriers we know of now? and nobody knows, as we speak of, what else. It seems like they are getting smarter, they are getting stronger, they are getting somehow getting some help, intelligent help maybe. Who knows? God knows. We don't know. So as far as Somaliland is concerned, yes, we are willing to sit down with the issue on a regional scale, as well as on a bilateral and multilateral approach. That is what we will hope to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Sam Akake. I'm an African based in the UK. For 10 years, I was lobbying the British government and others to help promote democracy in Africa. I realized that democracy could not and will not work without independent state institutions. So 2 years ago, I formed a group called Democratic Institutions for Poverty Reduction in Africa. Today, I work with a group of MPs across the board to ask the government here to put less emphasis on exporting Western liberal democracy and more on building democratic institutions. Because in my lifetime, I've seen African countries, one after another, collapsing from Somalia, from Congo, Zimbabwe, Kenya. It's not because Africa was predisposed for states to fail. It's only because the sitting head of state is also the supreme institution of state. That's why when Mobutu died, he died with the state institutions and the country collapsed. When Said Barre died, he died with state institutions and the country collapsed. Mobutu, Kibaki were rigging elections because they also controlled the state institutions. I was very pleased you have spoken to us and you said at least 10 times that your country has built strong state institutions. Many times you said you have got state institutions. And I think I can believe you because when the late President Egal died, your country never collapsed like Congo, like Somalia. So my question is this. You said you will never take no for an answer. Who is saying no? And what can some of us in this room who support your cause do, especially some of us from Africa? What can we in this room do to support your cause? And who is saying no? Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for your kind words and that reflection of what has happened over the years in the 60s. When our late president passed away, may God bless his soul, I was with him in South Africa. If there was no constitution, if there was no a durable mechanism and instrument for the nation, things will have fallen apart. But we have made very clear that there does exist, under those circumstances, when things of that nature happens, that the country moves forward. And that's exactly what has happened. It took us, even while we were still in South Africa, the institutions were convened and the vice president was sworn as the president to finish that term. And that's exactly what has happened. In our last election, for the record of our friends and colleagues in here, our party, I'm from the government party, we won by 85 votes. 85, not 80,000, 85 votes. The major opposition party, one of the major opposition parties, contested and said, this is a rigged vote. A recount was made, declared by the Constitutional Court, and we attained additional couple hundred votes. And that was enough game. This is a process. When I say we will never take no for an answer, nobody said no and nobody said yes either. And that is the hard part of it. It was, to be very frank with you, when the AU report came in Zirt, and it was read by the Deputy Commissioner Patrick Mahazameka, at the AU summit, in Zirt, at the head of states, a response was supposed to be made. The report was read, and nobody said neither, yes or no. What shall we do? Shall we send another fact-finding mission? Shall we discuss? Shall we commence a committee to look into this? Nobody said. A pathetic